everybody, it's been quite a while. I'm cooking today because this weekend Mr. Sparky isn't with me. He's off on doing other things, so I thought that I would take this opportunity to make the mother of all messes in the kitchen in peace. And what we're making today is chocolate refrigerator cake. In this bowl, over this pan of boiling water, I have got 200 grams of chocolate, milk chocolate. I'm using Galaxy. And what we've got to do is we've got to melt that completely. So I've got that going nicely at the moment over that pan of hot water. I'm just going to turn the pan down a bit because you certainly don't want it boiling over into the chocolate. If you get any kind of water in your chocolate, it ruins it completely. The other thing, so that's 200 grams of milk chocolate. I've got a 400 gram packet of Digestive biscuits. I've got 100 grams of Maltesers, 100 grams of butter. I will put the recipe underneath the video. I've also got a bag and a rolling pin. And this is absolutely central to what I'm going to do next. I'm going to put the Digestive biscuits into the bag and whack them with my rolling pin. Now you don't want them to go into too smaller pieces. It's okay if you've got some big pieces left over because it becomes quite nice and crunchy in the actual cake. What I'll also do is I'll put not just the recipe in grams, but I'll put it in ounces as well for my American friends who haven't been troubled with this ridiculous metric system. I still think in ounces, feet, inches, pounds. The other thing with this recipe is I'm doing the basic recipe, but what you could also do is you could add things like sultanas, raisins, nuts, cherries. Be careful if you're using nuts with children because some of them have got allergies to nuts. But glacé cherries are very, very nice in it. But today I'm just doing a basic recipe. You've got some powdery bits in here. Then you've also got some larger bits of biscuit. Make sure the biscuits are fresh though. Don't use ones that you've had open in your cupboard for quite some time because they really, they taste stale and it really does affect the taste of the cake. Okay, so that's starting to melt down nicely. I want all of those large pieces to be completely melted. I can start adding the other stuff as well. I've got to mention I've also got golden syrup as well. That gives it a lovely, sort of, not exactly chewy, but softer. It's not a hard chocolate cake. Okay, so whilst this is melting, it's almost done now. Almost. Once it starts to go, it really goes fast, to be honest. Right, I've got 100 grams of Maltesers, Mr. Sparky's Maltesers, and they're going in there, so they'll melt down as well. And they'll, the honeycomb centre, those pieces will go into the cake as well. So all of the chocolate there will just melt off. I'm going to put the butter in now as well, because that can be melting down. And then I normally put about 6 dessert spoonfuls of golden syrup in. I'm getting quite a lot on the spoon actually, so I might do 4. I have to warn you, this is a seriously indulgent cake. You won't want much of it. I'm not going to keep it in the house very long. I am going to whip it up to my friend's house as soon as I've made it. Because otherwise I shall just scoff it. I love it, I really do. All right, okay, fine. I am going to have a small piece. But her kids are just going to love this. I know that they will. So we've got this unholy mess then in here. The whole idea is you've got to mix it all together and get everything melted, and it's not really something that you can do with little children, because at the moment, you know, that you can feel and see the steam coming onto my hand, and that's pretty hot. So unless you melted all of the ingredients and then just took it off the heat and put it into a cooler bowl for them to put the biscuits in, I don't know. Of course, if you put it into a cooler bowl, your chocolate is immediately going to start to solidify, and you don't want that. You need that. You need it to stay fairly liquid so that you can get it into the bowl. But that steam is pretty hot. I love cooking with chocolate. You wonder why. I'm using my new smartphone that has got an excellent video camera on it. It's the new Xperia, the Sony Xperia. It does all sorts of things. Those of you that know me well know that I actually hate mobile phones on the whole, but this one I've sort of learnt to love, to be honest, because it's like a mini computer, and I've started to engage with it. See the chocolate coming off the Maltesers? Make some really nice crunchy pieces. You've got to make sure that all of the butter is melted. And remember, when you take this bowl off the heat, it's going to be hot. Just make sure everything's thoroughly mixed. Okay, I think we're about there with that, so I'm going to take this off the heat. I'm putting a tea towel down on my top, not because it's going to damage the top with the heat, because it is a heat resistant top, but it just stops it from moving around whilst you're mixing. Okay, so you can move that pan of water straight off the heat. You don't need that anymore. Okay. So then you get your biscuits. And you start to put those in. Now some people like it stiffer than others, so put about half your biscuits in to start off with and see how you go. Make sure those biscuits are all completely and utterly coated. Do you know, Mr. Sparky would really like this. I'm sure that he would. Shame he's not here. I'm just going to put a few more in. I don't think I'm going to use the whole 400 grams. So I think I'm going to put this down as a 300 gram packet. And what I've got here is I've got my dish I'm going to put the mixture into, and I've lined it with cling film for no other reason. Well, first of all I greased it, and then I lined it with cling film for no other reason that when this comes out of the fridge, because that's where it's going in a minute, when this comes out of the fridge it's really difficult to get out. Whereas if you've got the cling film, you can just use the cling film to pull it out, and then you can chop it into slices. And if you'll be ruled by me, you'll chop it into small slices as well. Okay, that's pretty much coated now. Is that bowl cool enough? Yes. So we pop it into here. Sorry, I'm having to do it away from you, but and it's amazing how fast the chocolate starts to solidify. And I'm resisting the temptation to lick my fingers at the moment because you're here and watching. So just sort of flatten it down into the bowl. And then that is going to go into the fridge. And it'll take about maybe 30 minutes. And then that will be solid. You can take it out and you can start slicing it. So there we are, refrigerator cake. I'll take a photograph of it when I bring it out of the fridge.